On May 12, 2008, a magnitude 7.9 earthquake struck western Sichuan province in central China.
当时全部马上就跑下来。当时你们感觉就是晃得厉不厉害呀？
很厉害。反正练的时间就有点动起动不起，有点吓人。
当时你们同学都肯定都吓惨了嘛？害不害怕？
我们班的莎莎第一个冲出教室，冲得像炮弹一样冲得那么快。
你们班上好多同学？
有57个。
57个。
The Wenchuan, China earthquake of 2008 caused more than 70,000 fatalities and left millions homeless. Temporary housing was constructed, and during the ensuing 5 years, new permanent housing was completed. The L'Aquila, Italy earthquake of 2009 struck a seismically active region of central Italy and caused over 300 deaths. More than 10,000 buildings were either damaged or destroyed. Reconstruction has been made difficult by the requirements to consider the unique architectural heritage of Italy.
You can see behind me there are a few tents, and beyond that a tent city. What you'll see right outside of L'Aquila, instead of tent cities, are tents adjacent to a house, to a residential house, and the house has now been deemed uninhabitable. The damages are still being assessed, and people will have to wait an undetermined amount of time to re-enter their homes.
The magnitude 8.8 earthquake of February 28, 2010 in central Chile killed more than 500 people, mainly due to the strong tsunami that struck the coast. Modern building practices are very earthquake resistant in Chile, but ancient adobe structures still exist in some older cities. As a result, more than 370,000 homes were damaged or destroyed, and temporary structures were needed, especially along the coast. The Christchurch, New Zealand earthquake had a moderate magnitude of 6.3, but it struck directly beneath the city, which has many buildings constructed of unenforced masonry. Soil liquefaction also caused hundreds of homes to be rendered uninhabitable. More than 1,000 people were left homeless.
It was just a massive natural disaster that I guess the people in Christchurch couldn't really cope with at the time. Still dealing with it now, and this is a few months on. Since then we've had plenty of aftershocks and even more quakes, really.
I had no idea about earthquakes, no idea at all. It was a complete shock for me. I think I was here like one day or so and an aftershock hit, because I didn't realise you could even get aftershocks. We knew nothing about it when we arrived here.
The enormous 2011 Japan earthquake had a magnitude of 9.1, and it caused intense ground shaking. Excellent Japanese earthquake engineering avoided serious damage due to shaking. However, the tsunami struck with fearsome force along the coast of northern Japan, and it destroyed 300,000 buildings. Over 16,000 people were killed, and some 350,000 were left homeless. The magnitude 6.9 Loma Prieta earthquake of 1989 occurred 50 miles south of San Francisco, California, and caused about $6 billion in damage and 63 fatalities. This earthquake exposed the strengths and weaknesses of modern building technology. The earthquake struck a population center of about 8 million people. Should an earthquake of this magnitude occur in the Midwest or on the East Coast, the affected population would greatly exceed this number. Earthquakes create numerous hazards. Among them are strong ground shaking, landslides, and soil failure. These can lead to building collapse, fire, and major disruptions to transportation systems.
The building code requires buildings to be built a certain way. If they're small buildings, we call those prescriptive requirements. And for major buildings, it sets out the design guidelines that engineers need to use to make the buildings seismically safe. They need to be enforced. They need to be properly applied. We need to have inspection to make sure that they've been done correctly.
Today, engineers are using tools such as computer modeling and analysis tools to actually visualize what will a building do in an earthquake, so they can look at all of the impacts of a building and watch it move and find out what the weak points are of the building, and then build it stronger to withstand earthquakes.
But safety also has to do with the safety of our communities. And that's something that we're getting very concerned about is how much damage the buildings will experience, and what does that mean to the recovery of a community. Buildings that were built 40 or 50 years ago, in many cases are going to experience a level of damage that will cause them to be closed until they can be repaired. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years to repair a building. If you have a large number of buildings in the community that are going to be closed for 2 or 3 years, it's going to be very difficult for that community to survive.
The USGS Earthquake website is quite a popular site. We have a lot of earthquake information there. Earthquake.usgs.gov is an entry point for information about earthquakes that have just occurred. If there's an earthquake anywhere in the U.S., within a very few minutes, there's a lot of information posted on that website